And here we go with a full review of the Saucony Endorphin Speed number 5. Okay, wow. So, released earlier this year, I have had a chance to spend some time with the Endorphin Speed 5, and I think I finally understand what's going on with the Speed for this year. So, I am not a stranger to the Endorphin Speed series. I've had the original, I've had the third that I did send back, skipped the fourth, and here I am on the fifth. In fact, here is the original, the OG Speed that I picked up way back in, I want to say 2020, actually PR'd in the marathon in this shoe, and it was just like a battle axe. And the thing was so fresh and new with the nylon plate. Jared Ward was talking about, there was that speed roll technology. That's back whenever like the plated shoes were coming out. Not so much carbon, but like the nylon plate and everything, and this thing blew me away. It's still one of my favorite shoes of all time, but this thing has seen its better days for sure. Here we are with the 5th edition, and they have refined pretty much everything about the shoe, from the laces to the spacing of the laces to the eyelets to the upper, which we can get into line by line here. So all in all, not a bad shoe, but we're gonna jump into the pros and the cons according to me. So thank you guys so much. My name is Jason. I am a nurse practitioner in podiatry, and I love talking about shoes, but I'm also very much at home in the backyard. So it is all about hanging out and talking about shoes up in here. Okay, so all right, the laces of the Endorphin Speed, they speak to me in a very comfortable way. Not super duper sporty, but very nice in that they are plush and they have a little bit of stretch, and they feel very good and quite obvious over the top of the foot during the lockdown phase of the shoe. Okay, now as far as the spacing goes, you will notice that the upper does kind of come together quite a bit, and the same thing happened with the original. You can kind of see how things were puckering up there too, but there's a little bit less puckering in the upper arena, but the upper lockdown was okay. It wasn't like, super secure and nice, in that, it really wrapped you up like a weighted blanket, but it was really just okay and kind of one-dimensional. It did very good on the top, but there was a little bit of side-to-side motion that I did experience throughout most of the runs here. Okay, but there's positives and negatives. Okay, all right, and so just having a look at the actual tongue of the shoe, it is gusseted there on the lateral side, and it is gusseted, that yellow band on the medial side. I did not experience any tongue migration, or the tongue did not disappear over the top of the foot and into the shoe per se, but there was like a little bit here and there, but I chalked that one up to my biomechanics. The way that I run, I kind of land on the outside of my foot, so there is quite a bit of front end torsion of this shoe, but for most shoes for that matter, as far as like how it affects the features of the shoe that are mobile versus some that are static. Okay, and then as far as like is it plush, is it thin? Actually, it's a little bit more plush than I would expect for a super trainer, one that's designed to get you up on your feet and go fast, but at the same time it's designed for many use. It's a daily trainer, it can be for speed workout. This actually can go up to the long run, and did quite a bit of long runs in the original here, so it is not a stranger to that. And then finally, there is a variety of different eyelets here, where you can see it's directly into this upper right here, and then you have this like little strap right here on both sides to give a little bit of a different feature for kind of that not so much the vamp of the shoe, but way up here just in front of the heel, as it touches there before the runner's loop. So I did engage the runner's loop of this shoe. I thought that it was okay without, but it definitely cinched down a little bit more with the runner's loop. But there again, it wasn't like the best lockdown I've ever felt. Okay, and then having a look at the upper, this is an engineered, very thin, very breathable mesh. It's like a hexagonal shape there, if you can see that. Very see-through, very breathable, very light. Okay, it's really very very minimal, okay? But towards the back, it does gain a little bit of attitude, and it does gain a little bit of rigidity. And one more thing about this little toe box. Actually, the toe box actually is not that bad. There's quite a bit of room, and I did not experience a significant amount of discomfort with the toe box, but I did have a little bit of like clawing of my toes, and it could just be the shoe in general. With the right side, my fourth and third toe, the tips, I felt, you know, were kind of digging in a little bit with the material there. You know, no blisters, no none of that, but it was just obvious. Certain paces, certain attitudes of the foot and the shoe just weren't meshing, but it wasn't like all the time. So that was just very interesting. But you know, the more time you spend in a shoe, the more you're gonna learn about it, right? So here we are. We got the heel collar of the shoe. Actually, a lot more padding again than I would expect for something deemed as a super trainer. But there again, super trainers being lightweight and having features to make you go fast and have pop and all that, simulate race day, and then have cushion as well. So that could be kind of why they're adding in a little bit more of this stuff in the back. So that said, this is a 3D molded heel. And then as far as like, you know, heel landing, rear foot landing, and then how this shoe responded to that, beautiful. So this shoe, to me, it did really just kind of meh, okay on the forefoot, but when engaging kind of more of that posterior of the shoe, not so much way back here, but you know, I was, you know, imagining more of this. I could really feel the shoe engaging me and then kind of rolling through, and then that kind of was a sweet spot here. So I pictured my heel here, and then I pictured like a metal bar like right in front of my heel, but like bone, and then like, you know, kind of having that like, you know, tucked into the heel bone itself. That was what I was picturing. That's what I was cueing. And whenever I was doing that, man, this shoe just like woke up. It was very alive. It was a very alive shoe whenever I was doing that. So very interesting stuff. That is like all this, like, you know, we got the horse and the cart, the horse-drawn cart right here, and you're all hanging out in this space here. So if you're gonna hang out back here in the shoe, then you know, definitely consider this guy, because it really launched in a very deliberate fashion with that. And I was not expecting that. I look down, I'm going like, you know, like 50 seconds faster per mile just by changing the gait. I don't know what's going on. But that was my experience. Okay, so you know, excellent lockdown, very good heel lockdown, very minimal heel slippage. Didn't have a problem with that at all. Really, just the upper kind of was a little sloppy in the front here. That like clawing of the toes, the midfoot was a little but you know, the heel again, like, you know, made it super duper fun. And so here is our insert, and there's some super fun stuff in, and I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's like an insert of a material that is designed to give it pop and a little bit of stack height and a lot of comfort. So this is one of the better inserts that I've come across, and look at how structured that is. That is just nice. It's nice and molded. It really hasn't gotten too beat up. It's a little bit dirty, but anyways, you know, as far as inserts from the factory go, very nice insert, and I really enjoy the step in comfort of the Endorphin Speed 5. Straight out of the box, guys, this was a very comfortable shoe. It was ready to rock and roll. And you know, in my world, like, you know, I really just want something that, you know, I can get on and just not really have to think about too hard, as far as just running in it and hanging out with the family, being in the backyard. And the Saucony Endorphin Speed actually did that pretty well. Okay, and I know I'm kind of nitpicking on the shoe, going line by line, but overall it did very well as far as, like, you know, open the box, put the shoe on, go for a run, and you know, just the rest is lemonade. So very good stuff, very good stuff. Alrighty, so moving into the midsole here. Here is more of that Power Run PB. Again, the same stuff that we had previously way back in the day. I'm not even sure if it says it anywhere on this guy. Oh my goodness, it's been a while. It's been a while. But here it is right here showing up. Oh, you know, since we are looking at the heel collar, you can see how there's this plasticky piece here that's completely disappeared. It's kind of embedded into the shoe. Okay, so Power Run PB, this styrofoam cooler type stuff. It's a PBA base midsole material here. It's quite flexible, quite bouncy, quite springy. You know, it's certain paces do really well, but certain like slower paces, it doesn't do very well at all. Like I said, whenever I was running on kind of that midfoot here, it was just kind of like not really doing much at all for me. It doesn't seem to want to do slower paces. And then the foam just feels kind of like, you know, icky mashed potato, you know, at certain things. But like whenever, like I said, I was engaging that heel and really being launched and everything, it's like all of a sudden the shoe becomes alive. And that said, we've got like a foam sandwich. We've got foam here, we got foam there, and then we got a nylon plate right here. So reading about the nylon plate, you know, it is pretty flexible. So fore and aft, and then it's got some good twist here. But what Saucony did was they got rid of their lateral wing of the plate. Okay, and they kept the medial wing. So I would agree. I would say that, you know, from the first ray all the way back, you can really feel that security of the shoe right here. And then you're kind of all left to kind of whatever your foot wants to do towards the lateral side of the foot. I did notice that when running and everything. It's like, you know, you come down here and you really engage kind of that first ray and roll through. Like there's a very obvious difference between that and coming off of this side. And it was okay in the middle, but really whenever you really try to push off that first ray, that first toe all the way back, is whenever it really opened up. So, you know, it's hard to say as far as how stiff the plate is compared to other models, but, you know, I would say that this is fairly flexible. I don't recall the 3, and it would be like not, you know, of use to do the 1 here because it, it was so beat up. But I did enjoy this shoe at some of those higher speeds, but as far as just like your regular speeds, it didn't really feel like anything special, to be honest. Okay, sack height is there on your screen, the weight is there on your screen in the men's size 9. Mine is a men's size 11. I need to get a different scale because my wife has forbidden me from using the kitchen scale for the shoes. Don't know why. And then, you know, more about the heel and everything else. You know, the geometry here is very nice. You know, you've got this very intentional bevel going on here, and I did appreciate that. Again, you know, I keep harping on it how, you know, it did really well, but there seems to be an emphasis towards the back of the shoe for the rear foot striker. So definitely shout out to that if you guys are interested in that type of gate. It's here for you in the Endorphin Speed, number 5. Moving on to the, I believe, XT 9000 rubber. So this is sticky stuff. This is so sticky. This is like some of the best stuff. I really like this rubber, and it's shown up on a couple of other Saucony shoes. So you know, all good things to say about this. I've had this in wet. I've had this in like the algae slimy stuff on the top of the wood of the bridge, and that it does fine. I did catch like some of the mud where I guess it had previously flooded on the trail and it was slippery, but I think like anything was going to slip in that. So good job Saucony in showing up with that and kind of putting it towards those, like, you know, impact zones, and then leaving a lot, you know, off, so you get those weight savings. Okay, then you got a nice big cutout to get that nylon plate all exposed like and everything. Price for this shoe is $175. So, you know, just considering how the prices have flexed around, you know, recently, I think that they could, like, you know, bring it on down. I think that, you know, for 180 bucks, you got, you know, other shoes coming in at that price point that might be a tad bit more exciting and kind of what Saucony is trying to get after here. I did test you know, the Rebel actually not too long ago, and I did have to send it back because of some fit issues, but I remember kind of a similar excitement with the foam there. Now obviously that was just a first impression, but I was thinking about the Rebel as I was going along here. I have not tried the Hoka Mach series, like the regular Mach, so I can't speak to that, but I do know that there's the Mach X3 that's out now, which I have not tried, the X2. So, you know, some other ones that are out there, the Sonic Blast. So, you know, it's not the only shoe that with a plastic plate that's going on, you know, but this one's been around for a long time too. So Saucony, you know, kind of getting their craft refined. It'll be interesting to see what they come out with for the 6. And that's pretty much it, guys. So that is the full review for the Endorphin Speed 5 from Saucony. The link for this shoe will be down in the description. Okay, if you wanted to check that out, I would get a tiny commission if you were to purchase through that link, but again, no pressure at all. You know, we're just down here hanging out. You know, I got my Foot Whisperer shirt on. But remember, down here, it's all about family and coffee and running shoes. All right. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Feel free to like and subscribe, follow along for more. There'll be tons more fun where this is coming from. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll catch you in the next one.